You're on CYInterview.
I'm Chris Yandick. Today on CYInterview, many are looking forward to the day that shows will resume on the Las Vegas Strip. Today we welcome the creator of the unauthorized Harry Potter show that takes place at Bally's Hotel and Casino called Potted Potter. All the way, I believe, from London, actor, director, writer Dan Clarkson joins us today. Thanks for being on CYInterview. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me. This has broken up the monotony of a London lockdown day, so thank you for talking to me.
Well, we're absolutely happy to have you on. So I had a chance to see Potted Potter last year. I find it to be absolutely hilarious, entertaining for the entire family. So I want to take it all the way back. When did you know that an authorized show about the Harry Potter books and movies could be something that you could create and could be performed worldwide?
Well, I mean, the whole experience has been out of this world. It's been a real pinch me, we're dreaming moment. This was something Jeff and I, who I created the show with, we put together as a piece of street theatre back 14 years ago. I think it was for the launch of the 6th Harry Potter book at a London bookstore. And they were doing these big midnight launches, and they wanted something to entertain the crowd who were queuing to get their hands on the book. And we came up with this idea of doing all 5 books in like 15 minutes to sort of recap the crowd and get everyone going and get them excited for the book. And we weren't expecting much of a crowd there, and we played it to about 700 odd people out on the streets of London that night, and suddenly thought, we could be onto something here. And we were huge Potter fans ourselves. I mean, the reason I took the gig was so I could get to the front of the queue and get my hands on the book first. That was one of the deals. But so we played it this evening, and then I remember we developed the show into an hour and took it to the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. And this show sold out before we'd ever got there. And anyone who's been to the Edinburgh Festival knows that an average audience size is anywhere between 3 or 4 people. So to sell out, we knew this was something special, and it sort of snowballed from there, and we were able to then take it to the West End and tour the UK. And then we were fortunate enough to go to America, and we played in New York. And then here we were last year in Vegas on the Strip, which was just a dream come true. So, you know, we really are 2 best mates who were messing around with the boy wizard and hoping no one realized that we were just having a lot of fun with it.
Well, the reality is that it's gotten so big that you now have other people performing the show all across the world. We got to see James Percy and Joseph Maudsley last year here in Las Vegas. Just to take it back, what was it like for you? You know, sometimes people are creators, they write something, but other people perform, but you were actually performing something you created. So what was that process like for you?
I mean, the amazing thing is you can do what you want and no one's going to argue with you. So for me, this was an amazing opportunity to really hone all our skills that we had together and play all these amazing characters. I mean, I always joke that many British actors got to appear as just one of these characters in the films. I was able to play Dumbledore to Snape to Voldemort or He Who Shall Not Be Named, even Hermione Granger. And, you know, I stand at 6'4", and I thought, well, if I'm a 6'4" man and I get to play Hermione Granger, something's going right in my career right now. So that was a great opportunity for us. And then, you know, I'd love to think it was the show was getting too big, and that's why we had to bring in other actors. I start to sense that maybe we were getting a bit too old, so we were bringing in these more young, energetic actors to sort of carry the baton, as it were. And I remember that when we cast Joe, he was brilliant, and I stand by the fact that if I look in a mirror, that's who I see looking back at me, or that's who I wish I saw looking back at me, was Joe.
So even if you haven't read all the books and watched all the Harry Potter movies, which I haven't, but I know enough about it, it's without a doubt an entertaining show and easy to follow along. Tell me about your thought process of bringing the show to Las Vegas and what your thoughts on the reaction have been so far in Las Vegas.
It was an amazing opportunity, but like anywhere we play, there's always a danger of going, will they get the jokes? Will they want to come along with us? We have a live game of Quidditch in the middle of the show. Will everyone want to join in? And we didn't need to be worried in Vegas. I mean, it fit in so well to the town. And the joy for us was, after doing the show for so long, we wanted to do a version that was unique to Vegas and put in jokes that you wouldn't see if you saw the show anywhere else in the world. You wouldn't see these Vegas jokes. I think, as I'm sure you remember, and I'm sure I can say, we have the mix-up with the house elf being a house Elvis. And so we were able to put in this lovely 2-foot Elvis puppet. And so just adding in all these little intricacies, which then made it more entertaining for us as we got to sort of develop and change the show just to suit a Vegas audience, which was a lot of fun to do.
Do you feel like you have filled the gap on the Las Vegas Strip entertainment market when it comes to shows for the entire family that is potted Potter, because there aren't a lot of them?
Yeah, I mean, that's very flattering of you to say so. I like to think so. I mean, the point behind Potted Potter was always that it was for the whole family. Now, that didn't mean it was a kids' show, but it meant that for the first time we were trying to do something similar to the books where adults could enjoy it just as much as kids could enjoy it. And one of the things that starts off with that is that you can't have cuss words or swearing. So you have to then, as a writer, become more creative how you're going to get the laughs, as you're not able to just go for almost, some would say, the cheap, vulgar laugh. You have to come up with another creative way to do it. And so we try and play some jokes that only the adults will get, but at the same time, jokes that only the kids will get. I remember there was one show, and I watched I think it must have been a grandmother leaning over to her child or her granddaughter to ask who Justin Bieber was or what a Justin Bieber was. And her granddaughter had to explain. And I just love the idea that they're all getting something out of it, and then it brings the family together, and they all have their favorite bits from that.
Oh, absolutely, no denying that. So with all of this downtime from the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of shows have obviously had time to think about what they're going to do when they come back to live performing. So have you thought about the Las Vegas production? Have you thought about maybe changing anything, making new things into the show? Is this been a moment of you of self-reflection about your productions, about how you can make them better?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think if you talk to any actor or performer, we're always wishing that the world would stop a minute so we could get off and catch up with everything and bring everything to where we want to. And we've tried to take the positive from this lockdown to be able to do that and to go back to the script and make sure that when it does reopen, this is the best possible way to do it. And, I think we will be I don't think people will want to be reminded of Corona too much when we come out of this, but you can't ignore it. So there will sort of be nods to it, and I'm sure we're going to blame Voldemort for the whole sordid affair. And also finding ways to make sure the show can work safely to everyone, because we want everyone to come back as soon as we can. We want to make sure it's done in a safe way, and so that was maybe developing another way to play the Quidditch live. And so that's been a real challenge for us to find other ways to do it to make it just as enjoyable. And if anything, it might be better from the original. So you're now seeing the sort of Potter 2.0 sort of production will be on, which will be bigger and better. And so we just can't wait to get back up there with it.
Do you feel like, looking at what's going on in the world of live performing, as you were just talking about, do you look at what's going on and say to yourself, wow, I've got to rethink all of these things that I've never thought about before that I'll have to think about going forward to make sure that my production is safe for an audience?
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially a show like Potted Potter, where we are very insistent that we break the fourth wall down and the audience comes on the journey with us and we let them join in. But for the near future, we're going to have to find new ways to do this. And I think rather than sort of going, oh, we can't do that anymore, that's a shame, we're really sort of embracing the challenge to go, well, how can we make this better? And how can we maybe take these restrictions, which absolutely should be in place because it's key that everyone's safety is first and foremost, and how can we develop it and make it probably even better than it was to create a whole new experience with that?
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you, being in London, what is the state of the London entertainment scene? How are you guys doing over there compared to America? Yeah,
bleak would be a word. I think, unfortunately, all our theatres are still very closed. But what I'm noticing is a lot of artistic performers and around the world are finding other ways to entertain people. As you know, we want to perform, we want to tell the stories, and there's been some great things happening over Zoom and live feeds. And even with Potted Potter, Jeff and I did book one over Zoom, which was strange, as you know, we live 25 miles apart, so we were doing it on the split screen together, and then we did book two. And then with Potter, we've tried to run sort of different competitions to bring the fans in and to keep them involved. And it's also been that very, as we've said, reflective, where you've been able to talk to the fans as well and reach out. And we're all in this together, and so we're all sort of supporting each other and trying to make sure that when we come out of this, it's going to be bigger and better, and we're all in this as a big community. And I'm sure it won't be long until we are playing Quidditch on the Las Vegas Strip. I think we're in the countdown now.
Yeah, I'm going to say in closing, not giving anything away, but the thing about Potter, which is fun as far as the setup of the show goes, is that it's a two-man show, and one guy gets to play Harry Potter, and the other person gets to play every other character in Harry Potter history.
Yeah, that's right. I think, last count, 250 characters, which playing in somewhere like Vegas is perfect, because I play the number 2 character who does all of those characters, and it means I can go to all the all-you-can-eat buffets you want and then burn it all off in the evening. So I was having a great time in Vegas.
Well, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, the funniest part is when the audience, one of them is when the audience reacts to the fact that the two characters are on stage and they're arguing about who gets to do what, and the guy who has to play Harry Potter's disappointed he doesn't get to play somebody else.
That's it. The final breakdown where he realizes that Harry Potter might not be the most exciting character in the books. He's just the protagonist.
Oh, absolutely. No denying that. So in closing, 2 last questions for you. Definitely coming back to the Las Vegas Strip when you guys can perform, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, as we've said, we want to make sure that all our performers are safe and the audience are safe, but we are itching at the bit to get back up there and sort of to have that fun with everyone again.
You've been involved with a lot of different productions in your performing and creative life. You know, after making this, what I like to call it, blockbuster thing that's performed all across the world, have you thought about what could be the future act or the next act for you, or something aside from this?
Oh yeah, we're always thinking about it, and it's, you know, how do you top it? It almost becomes a difficult second album, because I think everything gets compared to that one thing. But I mean, there's so much. We had another show we did called Potted Sherlock, where we did all the Sherlock Holmes stories.
Oh my
and I think
God.
there was the that we did. And, you know, always on the lookout for the next thing. But I think more importantly, it's something that we also love, because especially when you're doing a parody, you have to come from a place of love, and you have to love your subject material. And we were huge Harry Potter fans when it started, so we had so much fun doing it that way. And I think that's why there'll never be a Potted Twilight, as, you know, we're not huge fans of shiny vampires.
Oh, absolutely, no denying that. Dan Clarkson, actor, creator of the Potted Potter show on the Las Vegas Strip at Bally's Hotel and Casino. Thanks for joining us today on CYInterview. In closing, before we wrap up this conversation, anything you'd like to add?
Just that we can't wait to get back into Vegas. You know, keep holding in there. We're all in this together, and I know we're going to come out of it bigger and better than before, and we look forward to welcoming everyone back to the Strip shortly.
Dan, thanks so much for being on CYInterview. Hang on with me.
Thank you.